Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are hoping that our first stage is powerful enough now to do a proper moon flyby. We'll see how realistic that is. Let's go ahead and open this up, and that is the Hopper 3 Block 3. And that's this bad boy right here. Now we are completely maxed out on our part count, and we have to get a moon flyby at some point here, because we need to get some work done on our tech. Now, I do want to flop this around like so. There we go. And we're going to be running this for like 55 seconds. So what we're going to be doing here, I think, because we don't have much in terms of steerability on this first stage, I think we're going to go straight up on the SRBs, and then we'll start pitching over with the liquid fuel engine. In theory. We'll see how that ends up going. And who do we have in this right now? Bill is in this. Okay, I restarted the game, so I'm not surprised by that. We want Bob to be in this, though. So we'll definitely go ahead and launch this. And our goal here is to have enough DV for a moon flyby and return. Ideally, a moon orbit? We'll see how that goes. Whoa! We just immediately tip over. I touched nothing there. I'm going to revert that. Go back to launch. What happened there? That's not normal. Did they change the collider on the Thumpers? Because, yeah, that's not how that's intended to go. Maybe if we were to just raise up the radial decouplers a little bit and have it sit on, like, all three. I want the radial decoupler, not the engine. Let's get in there. There we go. So have it sit... Oh, it's not going. There we go. So have it sit more like that. Maybe that won't tip over immediately, because I'm not touching anything at all. And it shouldn't tip over like that. So I'm guessing that's something to do with the hitboxes. Specifically the collider. That looked to me like a capsule collider. Yeah. We can do absolutely nothing to stop that, it seems. So if we revert that back to vehicle assembly again, we might just have to mount these even higher. So to that end, we could do that by doing something along the lines of this. Even that, like this, I would expect to tip over. Well, not necessarily, actually. But it could tip over. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever had it just tip over sitting on two Thumpers like that before. Okay, this is fine. So it has to be that this is rounded on the bottom in the collider. Strange. Okay, well, we'll throttle up and we'll call that good. And let's double check our staging here. We've got our SRBs, we've got our swivel engine, and our SRBs pop off at the same time that our swivel engine fires up. And then we've got our orbital maneuvering engine, and that is then our return module, our drogue chutes, and our main chute. And then there's the re-entry module that we're not intending to ever stage. So in theory, this should be okay. Are the struts connected? They're a little awkward, but they're connected. Okay, we'll call that good. Let's see what we've got. Decent speed off the pad. We're going to try to just go straight up here with the SRBs because I have very little confidence in being able to hold attitude and pitch over with the SRBs running. So let's see how that goes. We're getting some decent altitude here. And some decent initial speed. So we've got another 30 seconds of burn. And we're just trying to get some vertical altitude out of our SRBs here. I do want to attempt to pitch it a little bit here. I don't want to do too much, but I just want to get a little bit over here because... Wait, this is north? Hang on a moment. Okay, I want to pitch over this way. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of right there. Okay. So that's not great. That's for sure. this was the danger. Okay. Well, in that case, we're just going to immediately drop the drogue chutes and the main. Like so. And we're heading down. We're going to try to recover as much of this as possible. And we're going to physics warp on down. Okay. You can see we're accelerating pretty dramatically. That's unsurprising. And we're going to be able to decelerate this via a burn, and that's going to be what we're going to have to do here. Now, that may have been recoverable, but it definitely gave me some information about this stage. That's for sure. So, we're going to make a few changes, and we're going to work on slowing on down here. We're going to sit to retrograde. And our chutes are deploying. There we go. There's our chutes. What's our terminal velocity looking like? Like 60 meters per second. So we're definitely going to have to slow this on down. Okay, this is actually much lower than 60 meters per second. 20 meters per second is not bad as far as the terminal velocity goes. So, I mean, I'm not going to call this a successful flight, but it was a flight nonetheless. We could actually have Bob EVA to grab flying low over shores. There we go. And we're just going to try to drop our speed down to be somewhere around 9 meters per second. That's pretty good. I mean, our thrust to weight at this point is lower than it was intended to be, for sure. We're just going to hop on down here until we hit the water. Nice and gentle. Excellent. Ah! No, I left the engines on. Okay. Splash back down. There we go. We bob up a little bit, but we're going to allow it to tip over. There we go. Okay. So we're going to grab our crew report. We apparently don't have science from here in the shores, so this is not the worst thing we've ever done. We can grab all of this, and I'm not going to bother resetting it. This isn't very much, but we can have Bob EVA grab the EVA report and hop back in. And then we can recover that. So, I mean, we're going to get a decent amount of science out of that, at least. But yeah, we've definitely discovered a few things. I think that we want to throttle down on the SRBs a little bit. So 32.8 science there. Cool. That gives us enough science to almost get something out of this tree, but that's fine. We're going to throttle down our SRBs a little bit. We're going to bring them down to around 50%. Just want to double check that it's getting both. It should be. Yes. Okay. So I want to throttle those down, and then I want to do this. I want to be able to steer. So 1.36 thrust to weight. It's not too bad. Let's see how that feels. Hopefully we won't have to abort this flight many more times, but that should be better. We should be able to steer with that as well. So let's see what our overall thrust to weight looks like. I mean, another thing we could do is crank up those thumpers. That is an option. I'm not sure it's a great one, but let's see how this goes as far as the pitching goes, because our main problem is that we don't have aerodynamics, right? We don't have any control surfaces, but we kind of can't get any right now. So for the moment, we're going to have to make do with what we've got. That's all there is to it. So off we go. And we're going to need to start pitching downrange a bit here. It's currently up because of the orientation of our capsule. But that's okay. So far, this is feeling reasonable. But hey, we're actually pitching instead of yawing downrange. That's a thing. Okay, I think I'm going to keep doing this manually for the moment. Okay, this is definitely unwieldy. There's no doubt about that. That's unsurprising, but it is certainly unwieldy. Cool. Oh, that felt a bit too much. We almost tipped there. We almost tipped. Oh, there we go. That's uncontrollable. Okay. We can't turn off the SRBs. So we're definitely having a control authority issue here. There's no doubt about it. At this point, we should ditch the SRBs. And this is awkward. I was hoping that that wouldn't happen, but here we are. Okay, so this is all we've got. We'll bring it back. And that's fine. We should be able to land this under just parachutes, no problem. So, I mean, we get another good EVA report here at the end, I suppose. But we're definitely having some severe control authority issues here. So I think we need to go a bit back to the drawing board on this first stage. Unfortunately, our primary issue is going to be one of having two, and in fact, we should ditch this fuel tank. There we go. We're having an issue of too little control authority, right? So that could be solved pretty easily with more parts. Doing this with 30 parts is quite a constraint. There's no doubt about that. We could potentially downsize on some parts. But there we go. We can grab our mystery go observation and material study, not like they're worth much, but we can grab those, and then we'll recover that. I mean, it's not going to be worth much science, that's for sure. But we're just doing a little bit of experimentation here. Just seeing if we can feel out how exactly I want to get this first stage working. We definitely need some work on it, that's for sure. So we could think about how to replace this, right? The main issue is that we have a lack of control authority. We could fix that by having things that gimbal out here, like liquid fuel. We don't have any fuel transfer tech, though. So that's not super good. Actually, these do have gimbaling on them. Okay. In that case, maybe it's just a spicy flight. And we just have to be a little more careful with our ascent profile. Out of curiosity, what would happen if we just go straight up here? We make no attempt other than a very small one to clear the pad. So we just do something kind of like this. And then we just park here. Very, very small attempt. We definitely have a bit of wiggle going on. Bit of wiggle waggle there. Not super keen on that. But for the time being, it's wanting to overcorrect is the problem. So we'll just park it right about here. We're going to get almost entirely vertical height. And we're going to try to just hold position here. And go up vertically. That's the goal. I mean, 10-kilometer apoapsis isn't awful. We're definitely having some aerodynamic issues here. We could try just locking prograde and seeing what happens. It's not the worst concept I've ever had. So yeah, let's just lock prograde for the time being. 35 kilometers apoapsis. Flying high material study that we can go ahead and grab. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Okay, I was afraid of that, but I was hoping it wouldn't happen. Okay. So, we're going to need to flip around to retrograde, and we're going to bring it back again. This is starting to get into really sad territory. So that's a thing. But we'll just go ahead and physics warp here as we head around. We're reaching apoapsis now, and then we're going to start going back down. Okay. But yeah, there is a fix to that, and we will explore that. But that was actually a good proof of concept for how that stage is intended to go. So I'm going to begin a burn here, just to decelerate until those drogues deploy. There we go. And let's go ahead and not burn anymore. But that was a decouple issue. That wasn't an issue with the actual ascent. The ascent was going fine. The decouple was the problem there, and we're going to go for more of a Soyuz style decouple, I think, because of that issue. Now, it's super unfortunate that we can't sit on the thumpers, because if we could sit on the thumpers, that would solve a lot of the problem with that decouple, because we'd be able to have it be mostly cleared. The fact that we have the thumpers so high up is a big part of the problem of why that just happened. So we'll just decelerate a little bit here with the engine. There we go. And we're going to recover this vessel. So this is definitely taking a little longer to get this build done than I was hoping. But it is a complicated one because of our tech level combined with the 30-part constraint. So we're going to hop in here. And I would really love it if we could actually sit on these. So the idea would be that we move the radial decouplers up here, about like that. And then these would park here. Oh, and I want to just rotate this whole thing back this way and then rotate that like that. Okay. I think that's going to be correct. So then we would take, oops, I did not mean to do that. We would take these and we would not reroute them, but we would just move them on down to be about like here. And then the struts, we would probably just relocate to be down here. So this would be a much safer decouple, right? In fact, I'd probably want to even take it a little bit further. We'd want to move the radial decouplers and have it be something kind of like this. This would be a much safer decouple. There's no doubt about it, because we would have decouple pushing this out this way, and this would swing up, yes, but we would clear it. So this would be a much, much safer decouple. The problem here is apparently these thumpers cause us to tip over when we're sitting on them, because they have like a rounded hitbox on the bottom. A capsule collider, it seems. That's very strange. And not what I would have expected. Yeah, just like that. Kaboom. So we revert that. We can't sit on the thumper. Unless we were just somehow like... I mean, we could use a launch tower. However, this will put us up over our 30-part limit. We would have to drop one part in order to do that. What part would we drop? Is there any part here that I consider unnecessary? I mean, I would consider the launch stability enhancer to be unnecessary. We could come in here and drop one rechargeable battery pack. Power might be spicy. We'll see. But we can go ahead and see. That should solve that problem. So in theory, this should work fine. This first stage has been a little troublesome. There's no doubt about it. A bit of a troubled development here. But overall, I think we're making solid progress. Oh, look at that amount of wiggle when we first spawn in. That's nutty. Okay. Another thing we might want to do is attach, instead of attaching here, have this attach to this stage up here. I'm actually going to do that. We're going to revert back to vehicle assembly here, and we're going to move where these struts are connecting. So we are instead going to add strength to this joint up here. Like that. Oh, this needs to be in symmetry. Okay. So something along the lines of this. It's not pretty, but it will help our stability pretty dramatically, actually. I would like to have a few more struts available. I would like to have, just in general, a few more parts available. That would make things a lot easier if it was 40 parts instead of 30, but it is not. This is what we've got to work with. Okay, so the launch tower happens then. Okay, let's see if we impact here before our engines take over. We'll see. Fingers crossed that we don't have an explosion here. Hey, we're good. Okay, so up we go. We are going to head over this way a little bit. Not very much for now. And then we're just going to lock to prograde. That is our current goal. This feels like it's going over faster than it needs to. And I'm actually just going to hold here for the moment. Because, yeah, I'm quite certain that that lock to prograde was getting us tipped over a little faster than we needed to. Mostly, like, I would be somewhat content with it, except that we weren't very fast off the pad. I think we needed more altitude before we did that. And we also, I think, don't really have the attitude control to be able to do that at this moment. So we're just going to park here. And knowing that these thumpers gimbal is actually a pretty big deal, that is why we end up losing attitude when we ditch the thumpers. But we're just going to continue here, and we're going to go back to prograde in a while, but not just yet. Okay. So SRBs are going to detach right about, well, here in 5 seconds. Right about now. And that's a much cleaner detach. We can grab this material study. We can reset that once we get into space, so we'll happily do that. And you can see we're starting to wiggle around a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and lock us to prograde at this time, although actually we should really be at the horizon right now. Okay, this is feeling fairly solid. Unfortunately, we're basically burned out of this stage. So our circularization will have to happen with our second stage here a bit. And we're going to target about, actually, we need to be burning right now. So this is fine. Now, we're going to be burning for a while in Atmo, which is not ideal with the Terrier. But this is definitely a better start. There's no doubt about that. Time to apoapsis is still dropping, so we will continue to hold here for the moment. We're certainly going to make it into orbit. That's a guarantee. I don't think we have quite the DV and the power in that first stage yet to really propel this into being a moon orbiter, but it will get there with a little bit more tech. And we're going to be able to get a good amount of tech here. We'll stay in orbit for a while because we'll have plenty of delta V for that. So, just checking here. Now that we're in space, this is holding firm. We're going to grab our mystery goo observation. Okay. Time to apoapsis is currently increasing. So that's fine. Excellent. We'll lock to prograde. And for the time being, we're just going to add ourselves a prograde maneuver. And it'll look something like this. It won't quite get there, apparently. But that's fine. Well, maybe it will. Yeah, we're a little overshot here. That's fine. Okay. So this will be a burn time of 41 seconds, which we technically don't quite have. That's understandable. That first stage is still underpowered. This stage is not underpowered at all. It's the fact that the first stage is underpowered that's causing us some issues right now. But overall, this is fine. So we're going to burn this very shortly. And we're just going to be very, very cautious here. Our delta V is very, very close at this time. But because we burned so much of our DV in this tank, circularizing our orbit, that's a bit of a problem there. We should burn now, though. We should have been burning already, technically. So let's get that periapsis raised on up. This is a much more efficient engine. Sadly, it doesn't have an alternator on it anymore. But yeah, that first stage is definitely giving us fits, and we need to get that first stage dealt with, for sure. So we're at apoapsis right now. We're keeping an eye on this periapsis. We overshot our apoapsis a little bit, and I did that semi-deliberately because our thrust to weight wasn't very high. But the periapsis is coming up here, and we're just going to get it over to only 17 meters per second left. Okay. And we're flamed out. Okay, so we didn't quite make it into orbit, but that's okay. We're going to have Bob EVA here, and he's going to let go and turn his RCS on. He is going to come on over this way and collect this data and restore. He'll open up the service bay as well. He will grab the data from the mystery goo containment unit and restore that. And then we're going to come on back over here. You can get in. Wait, was it on the bottom? Yes, the hatch was on the bottom. Okay. So we'll come on in over this way. There we go. And that's now stored in here. We can go ahead and collect everything. We can run another material study and another mystery goo observation. And we'll keep both of those. And then Bob will EVA again. We'll let go and head on over again. Okay. And we will now collect our data from the Science Junior and restore that. And we'll do the same from the Mystery Goo Containment Unit. We should also grab an EVA report. Yep, we'll grab that and we'll restore. Cool. And we'll go underneath here. Okay, we need to head up over here. There we go. And we'll hop on board. There we go. And we'll rerun these. There we go. And we will collect all. Not everything could be collected, but we'll have Bob EVA again. And he'll let go. And he's going to do a bit of a dance, apparently. Why don't you head on in, Bob? There you go. Don't go too far away from the rocket. That would be a problem if you did. There you go. Just chill here, buddy. Okay. So we will grab the data here. Oops, I did not... I need to observe the mystery goo. There we go. And we will collect that data and restore. And then we will restore the Science Junior as well. Now we're going to run this data from here. We're going to conduct a material study. I'm keeping an eye on our altitude as well. So we'll keep that experiment, and we will collect the data, and we will restore the Science Junior. And we will observe the mystery goo. There we go. Now, I believe... Okay, we got that there. So we'll restore the mystery goo again, and now we'll head in. Okay. So over we head, and... kill that velocity, and we'll just bonk into this a bit. Yeah, some of that we can't store. So we'll go ahead and lock this. And we will collect all of the data that we can. We will also conduct a new material study and a new mystery goo observation. We'll hold those in their current locations. We need to flip around to retrograde here. There we go. We are, of course, out of fuel, and so we should just eject this portion. There we go. This is a suborbital flight here, technically, but it's only barely suborbital. Okay, now we do want to be stopping warp if we get into a new biome. Because we want to be able to EVA report, like this. We'll have Bob EVA. Oh, we just missed it. Sad. Well, we'll try it again. There we go. We'll have Bob EVA and grab that over the shores. And then he'll board. We can collect all of that in the experiment storage unit that we can. And we're going to continue to warp until we hit atmosphere. We'll keep trying to grab what science we can. So far, not a lot there. A lot of water. Grasslands. Okay. For now, I do want to close the Science Junior. It doesn't actually matter, but I like to do it. We'll be hitting atmosphere very soon here. And there we go. So, we'll go retrograde. And downward we go. This should be a very, very safe re-entry. Like, our periapsis is so high. Like, this is not going to be a problem in the slightest. We will continue to physics warp our way through here. I want to check in on our electric charge. Oh, we have plenty. Okay, great. So this should get us a very large amount of science. What it will not do is really get us very much money. And that's a bit of a problem for us right now. Our finances is something that we're going to need to deal with, and that's mostly what's stopping us from upgrading the VAB at this moment. So we're probably going to have to start thinking about running a few contracts in order to get the VAB upgraded if we really want to do that moon flyby. I think that's going to be the most important thing at this point. Of course, we're just going to descend through this atmosphere as quickly as possible. We're at 4x speed here. It doesn't get any faster than this, unless I were to, like, time-lapse this, but that requires video editing, and ugh. Not me, that's for sure. Okay, so we've exited orbital mode. That's great. Our periapsis and apoapsis have dropped pretty dramatically. If we look at KER here, it is estimating impact time in about 8 minutes. Make that 7. Make that 6. That impact time is dropping dramatically, but so is our speed. So that's excellent. If we start having too much of a shimmy here during our re-entry heating, I will have to drop off of the time warp, but we'll see how that ends up going. About 3 minutes to impact time. Excellent. We're slowing down quickly. 2 minutes to impact time. I'm going to stop the time warp for the moment because there was some heating happening here, and that went away the moment I stopped the time warp. Sometimes there's some funky things that happens with time warp during this re-entry, so we'll just go ahead and do that, and we will resume the time warp as soon as we're through this heavy plasma period. That'll be fine. 1,500 meters per second here. And yeah, I think we definitely need to focus in on getting some funds at this point. A VAB upgrade would allow us to do a moon flyby very easily. So that's going to be what we're going to target, I think, next. It's just 30 parts is tough. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to claim it's impossible under any circumstances. I absolutely think it's possible. But I also don't think that I'm the person to do it. We'll go ahead and resume our warp. There we go. We can drop our drogue chutes. And we can now fire our main. Excellent. And we're going to be impacting on land, it looks like. Excellent. Flying low gets us a crew report and a temperature scan. Do we need to open this for a barometer scan? No, I don't think so. Okay, we'll just grab what we can. Cool. We'll EVA report as soon as we are moving slowly enough that it's not going to, you know, kill Bob. He might lose his grip, and we'd have to fire his parachute or something. It probably wouldn't be the biggest of deals. Okay, at this point, we can grab that EVA report. Cool. And we'll just continue to head on down. Oh, look at that. There's something over here. Some sort of ground doodad. Excellent. So this is going to be our landing position here in the grasslands. I believe we've landed in grasslands before, right? So I think that we're not going to have much science to do here. That's okay. We're still carrying a bunch of science in our Science Junior, so I'm not too concerned about that. And here is our touchdown. Funnily enough, something blew up there. I don't know what it was. Maybe something in the service bay that was sticking through. Yeah, actually the mystery goo blew up. Okay, that's kind of funny. We'll grab our crew report. Apparently we haven't landed here before. But most of this is not worth very much, so we're just going to grab what we can and recover the vessel. We still get most of our science from our mystery goo unit because we removed it from that unit, so that's not a problem, and that's fine. So it is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we absolutely do need to work on getting ourselves some funding. We're getting very low on that, and we need to handle it quite badly. Hopefully, we'll have some halfway decent things available. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.